it's a lot easier to be authentic
Yes.
on these kind of things because it's natural.
I agree. I agree.
Cool. Well, we usually start off by
Let's do it.
syncing the audio.
Okay.
We do 3, 2, 1, and then we got to clap.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 4 of Reformed Podcast. And this is a very special one because it's the first time that we have ever done this. You probably can tell that Emily cut her hair today. And we are now bringing on our first guest of the podcast, which hopefully we're going to be able to do a lot more of this because now you're able to get even different perspectives on fitness and how it just is involved within your life and how you better yourself. So we have Matt Wade, who is joining us today. He is a multi-business owner, a bodybuilder, and today I want to bring the mic over to you. Who are you, Matt?
I appreciate that the introduction. That was probably one of the better introductions for a podcast that I've got. Multi-business owner, bodybuilder. I just appreciate you having me on and excited to chop it up and talk about business, talk about, fitness and how it kind of exudes into other aspects of life and just, essentially kind of, the second that me and you've met, Chase, we've never really skipped a beat. Like it was always from the get-go, like we kind of connected on business. We have the underlying passion for bodybuilding and, it's kind of what our friendship is kind of the foundation of it has always been. So just excited to be here. So, that's pretty much what you got for me. I'm excited to just have good conversation, first and foremost.
Me too, man. And well, just starting the podcast off kind of where we're leaving it is it's so cool how this particular industry can bring together people that you might not have ever connected with
100%,
before.
100%.
And it's whenever you're able to surround yourself with these people, it's almost like they're kind of drawn to these different personalities, and because everybody has this drive and motivation about who they want to become and who they are, and fitness has given us that, which is I think one of the coolest things about this.
I feel like too, especially in the world of now social media, e-commerce, and the ability to just essentially make money from your phone completely remote. It's on one side you have a pro, and then on the other you have a con. Obviously, depending on how you look at it, glass half full or glass half empty. But it has never been easier to not work a 9 to 5 and create something out of scratch and create something for yourself, for others, and actually have positive impact. But on the contrary, it's never been easier to do absolutely freaking nothing in today's age.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because of that, it's like the people that are actually doing something, the people that are, filming podcasts, they're creating content, they are, putting themselves out there. Like in theory, that's almost like extraordinary because it's, most of the people aren't doing these things. And even if your content is not performing the way that you want, I still look at it as like every piece of content is like legitimately like a lottery ticket. And and honestly, posting content at some point in time, like I feel like won't be free. Like that's how lucrative it can be. And that's how like me and you are in a position where we don't report in a 9 to 5. We have businesses that, we've worked hard to build, but realistically, we are our own bosses. We can control our own schedules. So that's the beauty of it. So on one side, it's like it's never been easier to do nothing, but on the opposite side, it's like if you're actually out there doing it, you can create something that's really extraordinary, and you get to live your life on your terms and impact others while doing it. So,
and that's such a good point, man, because especially in now day and age, of course, with the birth of social media and the virality score and algorithms and everything that is centralized around kind of what we do, that ultimately has taken a little bit of a turn because it's a lot harder to get in front of new people's face.
Yep.
The content's continuing to elevate. So it's like you have to continue to put yourself out there every single day to provide value, just hoping that you're going to reach that one person that might be able to see it. So I think if that's where your kind of ideas are centralized, that's what we're looking for.
I feel like you have to constantly remind people who the hell you are and what you do. And annoyingly enough, like the shelf life on content is like 48 hours. Like the amount of content that I legitimately repurpose, say the exact same message, maybe packaged a little bit differently, carousel, reel, whatever you want to call it. Like, you have to just constantly remind other people, this is what I do, this is how I do it, and this is why I get results. And just like that relentless kind of mundane pursuit of it. I mean, come on, let's be real. Like, creating content in the volume that me and you need to create content can become a chore and task at a certain point. But yeah, half the game is just, again, reminding people like what you do and how you do it, and doing that for a prolonged period of time. Just like fitness, it's like I call it kind of your business cardio. Okay, it's like
That's a good way to put it.
it's like, you don't really want to do it. You feel good after you're done doing it. And it's important for your overall health of your business, and obviously cardio is overall health for your cardiovascular. So I call it your business cardio. That's something that kind of the way that my perspective and how I mentally frame it, like, helps me get over those humps. Like, just got to check the box. Just, I know I got to do it. And then, in theory, for how long that we've been doing it, it becomes difficult to not get better at it with just the sheer volume and what we post.
Yeah, I mean, with anything that you do for a long period of time, you're bound to get better if you continue, like, just put yourself out there.
Exactly.
But that's such a good segue, I think, into the topic of the podcast, and that's how does fitness or even getting in shape, how does that make you a better person?
Yeah.
It's a little bit different than maybe some of the podcasts that we put out in general, because it was a lot of knowledge based around, like, well, preps and just body composition and a lot of mindset. This is actually around a lot of the psychology that comes around it as well, because you have the ability to start something new and to do something hard and to challenge yourself. But a lot of people don't think about the kind of mental benefits, emotional benefits that they're going to get out of just challenging themselves into creating this just this healthy body around it.
I agree. So, like, for you, like, I guess either in your personal life, in your client's life, because obviously you coach both prep and lifestyle clients. What do you find when you're really kind of getting that client over the hump? They're getting more consistent. They're really making those leaps in terms of they're eating foods that grow from the ground. They grow from a tree. They have a mom and dad. They're eating whole quality foods. They're moving their body, and we know movement is medicine. Like, what do you find happens with their confidence and their career life, their personal life, their relationship? Do you find that there's like a correlation that you start to see, influences positively happen in these people's lives once you're kind of able to get them hooked with the protocols that you've given them?
What a perfect first question. Because yes, of course, I've been able to see that with all of the clients that I've worked with up until this point, but also I am a direct representation of that exactly. A lot of it centralizes around holding yourself to a higher standard, but that does not happen overnight. Yes. Like, you have to be able to take that first step into knowing that you're going to better yourself because of this. But that doesn't mean that as soon as you decide to make that decision, that you're automatically better. And just for my own personal journey, I was, of course, working at a 9-to-5, a job that was lucrative and that was, on paper, something that you should do after college, and it's the job that everybody thinks that you want, right? At the same time, absolutely miserable, in the worst physical health of my life, big bubbly gut, just not the coach, of course, or like the competitor that I am today. And I was sitting in my car just like almost in freaking tears, man. Like, what is my life becoming? Where am I supposed to even go? And I knew that the only decision that I had was something that I knew I had control over. That was what I put in my mouth, and that was how I moved my body. And that was the beginning of my fitness journey. And every single moment before that, my life changed around it. My wife got a better husband. My kids got a better father. I was even performing better at work. That turned into more promotions within that, even though I wasn't still happy about the job. Like, I still was able to perform better because the standard that I held for myself now rose to a higher occasion.
I love the way that you put that. I actually just made a piece of content on this, like a short reel, but realistically, I feel like a lot of, and I'm going to speak to the men here just because my demographic is primarily male. But nonetheless, this happens with females too. Okay, this is not mutually exclusive. But realistically, I find that a lot of men feel like they need to have a strong relationship, in-house. They need their business or career goals to be, solidified or structured. And again, I agree with that if you're talking about going down with like a prep. Okay, you need to have relationship security, mental, and emotionally capacity. You need to have financial like freedom. You completely do from a bodybuilding prep standpoint. But from a sheer lifestyle fitness perspective, I feel like a lot of guys push the fact that they need to have all these other eggs figured out before they start fitness, when in the sheer reality, the first domino should always be fitness. It should be your body. Because if you master your body, you start to master your life. Okay? It stems into your ability to be more productive in your work. And let's be real, in corporate America, for a lot of these guys in the higher upper echelon roles, the investment banking, the consulting, it becomes an incredibly high turnover field because people are dropping like flies because mentally or physically they fall off. It's because they allow their career to dictate their health and wellness. And so if you kind of reframe the thinking and thinking like, if I start with my body and I start by controlling the foods that go in my mouth, the way that I move my body, it stems into how you present yourself. You go into business meetings, you speak with more confidence, you speak with more conviction. The opportunities that you present yourself, you're able to jump on them more and take advantage of them, which then leads to career promotions. A lot of the clients that work with my company's called MW Fitness, we tend to notice that within a year and a half, if you are consistently scaling your protocols, we tend to see most of our clients hit career promotions, and I promise you that's not on accident. It's from what they're doing in their personal health and their health and wellness journey that is then exhibiting into their career. And then you've also mentioned you were a better father, you were a better husband to your wife. Like your relationships with other people, you're more pleasant to be around, period. So I feel like the first domino, if you're someone watching this that is potentially confused on where to start, maybe you have some misdirection in terms of like, I'm struggling in one area of my life, like always resort back to the things that you can control and control the controllables. But at the end of the day, the first domino is how you move your body and the foods that you put into it, because that in turn will then completely translate into other aspects of your life.
And what a perfect way to put that. And I'm a big proponent of you can't fix the external until you start to fix the internal.
Absolutely.
So you have to be able to make that internal change before anything around you starts to be affected.
100%.
And if you're able to kind of just sit within that for a little bit and take that first step or have that first domino fall, that's where your life starts to change.
And I think as a coach, again, something that I feel like you have to learn as a coach through experience coaching other people, because again, when you first start coaching, you put tooth and nail and you feel like your whole self-worth as a coach is reliant to your client's success. But as you get more into the coaching field and experience, you start to realize that as a coach, it's not your responsibility to get your clients results. It's your responsibility to put your clients in the best possible position in their own life to go get the results themselves. And so to me, once I was able to kind of learn that lesson, it really has helped me phrase and essentially eliminate the clients that are really obsessed with the quick fixes, because you hit the nail on the head. You have to fix the internal in order to see the external sustainably. You could go see external results really rapidly, but those external results are going to fade even quicker if the internal doesn't match it. Okay, so one of the ways that like I set up my framework in how I coach, it starts with phase one is like nutritional habits and essentially just building out the routine for your work week. Like a lot of the guys and females at MW, they're corporate Americans. Okay, so what we do is we try to take advantage of they're already more time structured, they're a little bit more regimented, they're a little bit more responsible during their work week because they're forced to. Okay, like people during their work week tend to be more, responsible with their time. They're better with time management versus when the weekend comes, it's like all hell breaks loose.
Of course.
Okay, so what we try to do is right off the rip, we try to put in a routine, both fitness and nutrition, that kind of seamlessly integrates and works well within their work week. We tackle the way that we can take advantage of their already productive mindset during their work week. And then from there, we get them essentially being on plan 5 out of 7 days. Okay. And what happens is as we kind of create like a bulletproof work routine, they start to enter their weekends and they start to kind of get a taste of what their most optimal self feels like because they're eating good foods, they're moving their body, and it starts to slowly they start to slowly feel kind of like a drop off on the weekends when they stop doing what they know they should be doing and they kind of deviate from what they were doing on their work week. They start to feel a massive drop off from their optimal self to kind of, deviating, drinking, eating. And it in turn kind of forces them to get more consistent on their plan because they feel such a discrepancy between how they feel during their work week and on their weekend. So in turns, it starts to actually bring their weekends down more towards kind of like maintenance and moderation. So our kind of whole like method to our coaching is like if we can get our clients really, really solid throughout our work week, in turn, over time, that's going to force them to kind of pull down their weekends into moderation. And then statistically, over the course of 6 months to a year, if I can get some client really progressing 5 days a week and just having and enjoying their weekends in some sort of moderation, but just essentially holding down the fort. Maybe they don't progress on the weekends, but they don't hinder the 5 days. Statistically, you do the math, like they will progress 5 out of 7 days per week. They'll have a nice, flexible lifestyle during their weekends to go out with their wife, to go out on a date, or have a glass of wine, or watch a football game, whatever the case may be. We find that that is the perfect balance for our lifestyle clients, and that has attributed to a lot of our success.
Heck yeah, man. And I think that should be the main job as a coach, especially on the lifestyle side of these things and working with corporate America. Our main job is to understand how this fits within their life,
Yes.
not take over their life. And if we can find that balance and really get into the routines and the habitual habits, like that's where all of the success starts to come about it. But I think the biggest thing is we give them a roadmap and we show them what this could really turn into. At the same time, while they're doing that, even subconsciously, they're building so much self-worth and self-respect within their
Yes.
self. And that's where everything starts to kind of click. Because whenever you hit those weekends, just like what you were saying, it's a lot easier for them to start to feel that self-worth over the weekends and say, well, this is how I used to operate. I don't even feel like the same person anymore.
Exactly.
So now I'm able to kind of like rework the wiring of the brain, have different dopamine releases that contribute to just being a better person and being a better human and treating yourself with that level of respect.
100%.
And
It it goes like it has to enhance your life. It cannot consume it. Okay.
facts.
Now, again, prefacing lifestyle. When you're in bodybuilding prep, completely different story. Like we can go down that route like later. But realistically, the reason why I brought that up, kind of like our overall method or methodology around our coaching, is because every single client that kind of comes through our program, we run like we run a framework that every single client, regardless of experience level, will run through to maximize and make sure that we are getting the results in a healthy, sustainable way. So I talked about the restructuring habits and building routine. And that's kind of what I talked about with building the work week and allowing that to kind of marinate and in turn, it starts to affect their weekends in a positive way. Okay. Mm-hmm. But what you mentioned, what we were talking about earlier is kind of fitness from the inside out, if you will. So what we do is, again, we know that if our clients want to build muscle or they want to lose weight, and typically speaking, most of my clients want to lose weight. Okay. In order for them to lose weight in a proper way, we need to make sure that they've done some prerequisite things internally to be able to handle a weight loss phase sustainably. Okay, what does that look like? Obviously, that looks like trying to get your food ceiling and your metabolic function to a pretty strong level. Mm-hmm. Okay, the way I kind of phrase it is like, realistically, if we're gonna take off like an airplane, we want like a long runway to be able to build up speed in order to take off. We need a high food ceiling in order to pull from, without tarnishing or ruining your quality of life. In addition, I like to make sure that my clients actually like aren't liabilities in the gym. Okay, we get some eyeballs on their training. We make them train smarter and harder. So just overall training effectiveness. So before I am even comfortable dieting anybody down, we make sure that they're bulletproof throughout their work week. We make sure that we are able to take a couple months to build up their food ceiling and allow the, slow gradual food and carbohydrate increase to fuel their training. And then we make their training that much more effective, which compounds over the course of their entire coaching and basically their life, because you don't, once you learn it, you keep applying it and get better at it. Then I'm comfortable at dieting them down. So I think a lot of people need to understand that there's a couple prerequisite things that if you do in a proper order, you set yourself up for a not only a sustainable weight loss phase, but actually an enjoyable weight loss phase where you will not only get the results, you'll keep them. So that's kind of the old framework that we do. Now, if you're more of an experienced client, this could take, much more of an expedited timeline versus someone that hasn't seen the inside of a gym for like a year. Mm-hmm. Different timeline there, but the framework stays the same. So I guess my question for you, based on how we're talking about the overall concept of fitness really helping other aspects of life, like I guess from a coaching standpoint, do you guys at Team Reform kind of have like a framework that you guys kind of apply to, you typically see that you apply to most of your clients, whether that's lifestyle, and then obviously we can go down the bodybuilding route at some point because we both have a passion for it. So
of course. Yeah, and it's very similar to the structure that you started talking about. And building the good habits up front is what people aren't necessarily ready for. No. But we have to be able to create that vision and allow them to know this is the path that you haven't taken yet. Mm-hmm. Because if you're here and we're speaking right now, it's because you hired me, because everything that you've done in the past has not worked for you.
Yeah.
And if
that's a harsh reality to say.
Dude, it really is. Yeah. And that's the first mental barrier that we have to go under, right? Because we get a lot of those objections. Why am I eating so much? Why are my carbs so high? Well, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this kind of training? Should I do HIIT cardio? And we're like, well, let's slow down for a second.
Yeah.
Because at some point, yes, we will start to add some new nuances to the plan, and we'll elevate kind of the strategies that we're going into. But if I were to do that right now, your foundation is going to crumble under your feet because it's not there. Yes. It's so much better to build a foundation on concrete and rebar than sticks and stones, right?
Yeah.
We have to establish the routine, the habit forming, and what we kind of call it on Team Reform is like we want to build this maintenance phase or the foundation phase in the very beginning. We map it out on all of our spreadsheets so they know exactly what is going to be done over this course of time, but they also know what is going to become about it. So really in the beginning is having those nutritional guidelines start to make sense to them. Have them follow a plan. If they can show up, or if their starting point is 50% of the week, awesome. How in the second week are we going to get to 75%? How in the third week are we going to hit 90%? If we can build those foundational habits in the very beginning, and we usually say for some people that have a little bit of ease moving through the ranks, 2 to 4 weeks is a great foundation phase for you to really be able to understand what you are capable of. Now, some people, they're coming off of so many different limiting beliefs. So that's like those really mental objections that we have to show them exactly how to overcome those things. And that's a big thing. Like these people become overcomers. That's where that self-worth starts to come into as well. So some people it might take 2 to 4 weeks. Some people it might take 8 to 9 weeks, right? So it's all dependent, but as long as there is a structure and you're able to get inside of the head and then start to work on the external appearance, that's where true growth happens.
You said a ton of valuable things, and so I kind of just like unpack that for a second. So realistically, for me, in my experience as a coach, and for you to be able to get a prospective client or, not prospective client, a current client through kind of that initial maintenance phase, okay? Because again, let's not sugarcoat it. If a client is coming to pay Chase or Team Reform for weight loss, they want to see the scale drop, period. Okay? They don't care about a maintenance phase. They don't care. Whatever they've done in the past clearly hasn't worked for them. They want to see the scale drop. They want to see clothes that they haven't been able to wear fit their body. They want to be able to sit on a couch and not have their jeans like cut into their stomach, like Correct. Straight up. Okay? The beginning phase is so critical that you are able to provide the client clarity and that they're able to conceptualize the why. Because if you're not able to do that, they're going to they're going to implode in a way. They're going to be like, why am I eating more food? Why am I not doing a whole lot of cardio right now? I want to lose weight. Why are you adding more food to my diet? Why am I not moving my body? And those conversations become very, very difficult, especially, and typically I find that, especially in the female demographic with like overall diet culture, like you have a female comes into your coaching, she wants to lose weight. Her current nutritional intake is around 1,000 calories. Your metabolic function is completely downregulated. Her relationship with food is entirely toxic, and she doesn't do any strength training. Does a ton of high stress, fatigue, and cardio. How are you able as a coach to tell that client who wants to lose weight, guess what? You're at rock bottom. You ain't going to lose weight for quite some time, because I got to pull you out of the woodwork in order to even put you in a position to be healthy, to lose weight. That's a tough conversation that I'm sure you've had hundreds of times, okay, where realistically your ability as a coach to provide that female or male clarity and conceptualize the why is going to make or break their ability to actually see the program through or not. Hardest thing to do in coaching is that initial like month phase where you get in a client that is absolutely no position to lose weight and they want to lose weight, and you know that you only have a finite amount of time to see them results. Let's say you run a 6-month program, okay? Realistically, with a person like that, the first 2, 3, 4 months might be the maintenance phase. It might be the maintenance, the recomp, the putting them in a position to lose weight. Okay. Now, okay, maybe month 4, 5, and 6 could be their dieting phase, depending on how long they've neglected it. Okay. And I don't want to go too much on a tangent now, but realistically, I find a lot of the coaches that I consult for, the ones that run like a smaller or like a quicker program, like a 16-week, 3-month, I find those programs sell quick on the front end, but they're extremely hard to sell on the back end, because realistically, that same client who's paying Team Reform or Chase or any, Emily, Alex, whatever, to lose weight, once they get to the point of that 3-month mark where you have to essentially ask for their credit card again, if that scale isn't down, it's like, I don't remember any of the work that we did. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you change my relationship with food, if I'm 10 times more consistent in the gym, if I'm eating good foods, or I'm eating 1,000 calories more than I was on a day-to-day basis, the scale's not down, I'm not re-signing. So it's a very intricate process on providing clarity, but to me, that's kind of where I find that balance of like, hey, you got to get them results. So you might have to cut corners a little bit in a way, ethically, but you also got to do it in a way like, make sure they do have some time to build up that maintenance phase and build the foundation. But you can't spend 6 months building a foundation phase on someone that is running a 6-month program. You got to get them results if you want to keep them. Realistically, for the greater good, that if you can keep this client for a year and a half, you'll be able to change their life. Okay. But that initial 6 months, you kind of have to have that balance of like, got to get them results. I know they're not in a great position to lose weight. Where do I cut corners potentially?
Yeah. And I think that's such it's such an important step in the beginning, because what you said is like, it sounds like the extreme, the people who are overweight but metabolically so down-regulated, hormones in an absolute awful position, expenditure through the roof. They've tried every single diet and nothing has worked. And they're coming to you for a certain reason, right? But they also, if they've tried all those things, they've also done a little bit of research and hoping that they're going to find the perfect system, right? So I'm so big on, I not only have to coach this person, I need to develop a relationship, because if you're not building and establishing a foundation of trust in the beginning, then they're going to continue to question every single thing around it. So that's why I like to call myself a teaching coach, because I don't just want to say, you're going to do this. Like, eat this amount of food, you're not going to lose weight. They're going to be like, why the heck am I doing that? Why did I hire you in the first place? I have to show them, well, of course, in a digestionable kind of like framework. I need them to understand why they have to do what they have to do. And a lot of the times I'll ask them, well, what all have you done in the beginning of this? And they'll say, well, this is this, and this is this, and this is what I tried here. And then I will explain, well, this is why you didn't get the result that you did. So it's then now that kind of light bulb goes off and says, oh, okay, like that does make sense to me. And then we'll start to build a plan after that and say, well, if you're eating 1,000 calories, I want you to know something like the basic like foundation of coaching or
Sure.
calorie intake, right? There's 3,500 calories in 1 pound of fat. And they're like, well, I never knew that. I'm like, exactly. So if you want to lose 1 pound of fat and you're trying to pull from 1,000 calories, you're pouring from an empty cup.
Thank you.
And at that point, if they start to really understand that this is going to be a longevity type of thing, and they're able to really start to harness this isn't just a 6 month fix. I want to be able to fix this so the rest of my life is now like enjoyable and prosperous, and I have all of this new confidence. You can build those things within like a client and get them to trust you in that aspect. They're going to be lifelong.
I completely agree. And that's, again, that comes down to, on the coaching side, clarity. If somebody has the structure and has clarity on what they need to do, first and foremost, that's what they need. But then you have that education side, that educator, that like the ability to take the X's and O's, okay, and get the client to conceptualize it in their own life. Like, this is what you're doing. This is why it's not the most optimal way to get your desired results, and spending that extra time developing and fostering a deeper relationship. That's coaching. Like, that is unfortunately what misses out in a lot of this industry. You get a lot of guys that do X's and O's very well. You can go to school and learn all that stuff. Mm-hmm. The soft skills, the ability to take the X's and O's and make it digestible so that that person can understand it. Because again, remember too, most of these people aren't paying to learn it on a scientific level. They want the results. Mm-hmm. If you can get it to the point where they understand on a surface level, where they can explain to, one of their friends on the street, like, hey, this is why I'm eating more food and I want to lose weight. That's great. Okay. But they're not going to probably want to know about metabolic function. Like, they got other things to worry about. Okay. But your ability to break it down for them, I think, is absolutely critical. And it's critical not to just get them results. It's critical for retention.
Yeah.
And in my book, client retention and just client overall lifetime value is probably the single most important thing for a coaching business. So if you want to talk about business, if you actually are able to get your clients results, which again, fitness is a results-based industry, but you're able to keep your clients with a clear head, provide clarity, and conceptualize the why, they will stick with you. And that's how you really scale a company.
Yeah, and I think that's why truly good coaches really do need to be multifunctional, because you're going to work with a lot of different people, which means you have to evolve in your framework with each and every individual client. You're going to have the people who just like pick up and run. Yep. And then from day one, they're so locked in and you don't have to worry about a single thing. But then you also have people that are the complete opposite of that. And just so everybody knows, people don't necessarily think with their mind a whole lot. We are emotional beings. Like we follow how we feel most of the time. So if we can connect with the people that might struggle just a little bit more in the beginning on an emotional level and say like, I want you to know I got you. Like I am here for you. And obviously you need to have proof in the pudding. Like if you're able to show that you have been doing this for X amount of time and you've been able to create X amount of results, they have that kind of trust thing. And I think that's where a lot of the fitness industry has not necessarily been so truthful when it comes to coaches, because now we're so overpopulated. Everybody's able to AI generate a workout plan and a meal plan and just push it to people, and that creates a lot of distrust within what we do as well. So if you can prove that you are slightly different, that's where you're going to elevate above and have sustainability within your own business.
Yeah, that's your typical competitive advantage, if you will. But I do agree. I mean, like realistically, with all the AI out there, like you can. I mean, look, let's be real.
You can cut
like,
corners.
You can cut corners. Like you can build a workout plan. At the end of the day, like if you wanted it bad enough, like and you were resourceful and you had all the time in the day, you could do a whole lot of trial and error, and you could probably figure out fitness. It's not that complicated from a lifestyle perspective. Okay, you could AI workout plan, AI a meal plan, YouTube University here and that. Realistically, you're paying for expedited results, and you're paying to get that finite education that when you pay for a coach like Chase and Team Reform, it's an investment that within a year, 2, 3 years, you can completely rewrite the shape of your fitness journey, the landscape of your confidence, and then you can leave and run with that in your own life and continue to build it on your own. You're investing in your knowledge and to get the results quicker, to get that longevity. Okay, like realistically, I feel like a lot of people fail to realize that building muscle is the legitimate key to staying in shape the rest of your life. It is the key to longevity for numerous different reasons. You can handle more food at rest. You just have a ton more freedom, with your nutrition. Like me and you can go on vacation, we can binge drink, we can eat, we can do God knows what, and we can come on the scale Monday morning. Nothing's not going to happen astronomically different. The amount of muscle we have on our body allows for that freedom. But the only way to get that muscle is to have structure, monitor what you're intaking, make sure you're eating enough protein and having the numerics behind what you need to eat and learning how to strength train and doing that for an ungodly painful amount of time.
Yeah.
And then realistically, you can walk, the walk and eat more intuitively and maybe put the tracker away. Like I personally feel the most critical time for people to figure out fitness is the decade between their 20s and 30s. You figure it out then. Generally, you don't have kids, okay? Your job is still in a position where you're not, some big wig VIP with a ton of people that you have to manage, okay? Your overall health, you're in a better advantageous spot to move your body, do a little bit more trial and error with different forms of fitness that you can keep enjoyable. If you're able to figure it out in your 20s and build your physique, you can walk into your 30s, put the tracker away, and just lift and enjoy your life. And that's what I really try to hit on early is versus the people that start their fitness journey at like 45 with 3 kids, with a VP job, their chronic back pain, because all of the neglect throughout their 20s and 30s has now bitten them in the ass, and now they have chronic health problems. Trying to rewrite those wrongs significantly harder. So yeah, kind of lost my train of thought there, but that's kind of
well, I mean that's perfect segue, man, because what a lot of people are going to understand, and I wish that more people really thought about this, is fitness and health is going to be incorporated within your life at some point. It's either going to be because you want to do it or it's going to be because you need to do it. And I assure you, you do not want to get down that road where you are forced because your health has gotten to such a position where now you have some sort of chronic disease or you're just in such a bad physical shape that you have no other choice. Like, why not get ahead of that game? And something that you said earlier is time. And I think that that's such a crucial piece of the puzzle that not a lot of people factor in, because we're in the world and we navigate now where everything is so ease of use. It is absolutely instant. That's why whenever we have a car in front of us at McDonald's, it's ruining our day because we don't get our food fast enough at a fast food restaurant, right? So what I'm telling everybody is there's an equation to success. You have to find the right plan. That's us as coaches to be able to provide that, right? Mm-hmm. It is the client's role to take action. Now, if you are able to have the right plan and you're able to act on it, the only thing that you need to do now is just multiply that by time. If you can do the right thing for long enough, success is an inevitable feat after that.
This is kind of how I phrase it. You can have a coach like Chase tell you need to get in good shape, or you can have a primary physician tell you that you need to do it for numerous of negative reasons. Choose your heart.
Absolutely.
Right? Fitness is no different from success in a lot of the corporate fields. Okay, realistically in business too. What do we need to be successful? We need a clearly defined plan. We need systems, and we need a whole lot of patience and time. Right? It's the same freaking premise of fitness. It's why do people overcomplicate it as much? You need a well-oiled, structured plan. You need the systems and kind of the foundation to run with it. You just need time.
Absolutely. And obviously there's a correlation between what's going on in the world and why we might be in the position that we are, just in terms of our health. And I'm glad that we are taking some measures to get back to a different position, right? But at the same time, we are probably the most anxious, the most depressed, America that we have ever seen, but we're also the most unhealthy. So do you think there's actually a correlation? Well, absolutely, man. That we're the most sedentary, our diets are the crappiest, and that's why everybody feels like the world is against them instead of working for them. And if we can get into a position to where health is now monitored in a different light and people are able to get off the couch and maybe do something that they know that's going to better them, then that's where we start to see so much accumulation of just growth in individuals, which then also just reaches the masses.
I never understood why other coaches, like, again, me and you here, we're doing a podcast, but I never understood why other coaches like view other coaches and trainers as competitions. Like, legitimately, the way this trajectory is going, in 10 years, a six-pack and a fit body will be an absolute anomaly.
Right now,
Now it is.
It's like 1% of the world's population can see their abs, which is it's billions of people on this earth.
Yeah.
How crazy of a statistic is that?
If you are a man that makes over 100K and has a six-pack, you are legitimately like a fluke.
Yeah, you're a superhero.
And you're a superhero. And legitimately, you can get a six-pack if you apply yourself, typically speaking, in anywhere from 4 to 8 month stint. One really solid weight loss phase, you can reveal abs. We all have them. You just got to reveal them. Okay. And making over 100K, not to sound overly ambitious, but like that's almost like almost the standard nowadays based on how expensive it is to live. So just having those two things and you're in the top 1%, to me, I'm just like that doesn't sound all that special, honestly. But realistically, it's like there is millions of people that are out of shape, overweight, deconditioned in all aspects. Like, what we do is God's work. It truly is. And how we impact. And I just never understood other people that like view other coaches as competition. There is plenty of fish in the sea to go, and we need more people like this, realistically. I just always kind of like, it's just kind of a thought that popped in my head as you were talking. Like, realistically, there's more people, and it grows larger every single day, that need structure. They need to be told what to do. Clearly in America, we got a whole lot less action takers than, kind of backseat drivers or people that are reactive versus proactive. We need more people to tell people what they need to hear, and unfortunately that comes with tough love in order to get, at least the numbers in a more healthy, fit, like positive. Like you said it yourself, like everybody is like against the world, and it's like, and it's everybody else's fucking fault that they can't find the structure that works for them. It's like, it's kind of your fault. It's your plan. It's not anyone else's.
Yeah, man. And what you said, like, man, it hits home with me probably more than anything else that we have talked about so far, because when I started coaching and I was a brand new coach and had 25 clients or something like that, I developed a relationship with a coach who was well above kind of where I was in my career. He had been doing it for longer. He had way more client transformations, and he was really cool to me, and I appreciated that so much. And I told him that. I was like, man, thank you for being cool and us being able to have these conversations around here. He said, man, we are not competing against each other. There is so much out there in this world to fill both of our plates. And that's how coaches should operate. That has stuck with me from all the way through the years since I've been here. And also just talking about having this bit of kind of self-worth about yourself and being that 1%, even if that means being a business owner or just operating a business and reaching 100K and having a six-pack and being that superhero that everybody else would think that you are, and demanding that respect for yourself. Other people are going to respect you, but I'm a firm believer in, we have not been put on this earth to be mediocre. There are so many people on this earth that are comfortable with mediocrity, and I refuse to be in that same statistic.
I agree, man. And at the end of the day, too, not to kind of go on the negative side, but you can't fix everybody. Okay, and there's certain people that just want to clock in, clock out, be mediocre, and to each their own, right? It ain't my job to fix you. It's my job to help the people that want change and seek it and ask questions and want to become the best version of themselves. there's plenty of people out there that are very content not becoming the best version of themselves. And that's just fact of the matter. And it honestly probably grows larger each day. Why that is, whole other conversation, but realistically, I agree. I don't feel like I was put on the planet to sit back on the sidelines. Like, I want to be at the forefront of helping people become truly like their best version of themselves and who they should be. Better partner for their wife, better business owner, businessman, and just like better role model for their kids. I mean, realistically, as a father figure yourself, I can't relate to you on this yet, but what you do will be a direct influence on your two kids and how they grow up looking at food and their relationship with it, how they look at exercise as more of medicine, more so than just going into the doctor's office and under Western medication, just saying, oh, we got a pill for that, it'll suppress it. Like, no, let's nail it at the root cause. Let's move our body. Okay. To me, that's the type of person that I want to be and I want to surround myself with.
Absolutely agree with you. And I like that you said it's just not everybody wants that right now. They're comfortable being comfortable and they're cool with that. And I usually say they're just not ready yet, because there is a position that a lot of people come to us as coaches because they are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And like, that's where that first domino falls that says, my life can't be this anymore. And that was a realization that I had when I was sitting in that car outside of my work at lunch, because we had a child on the way. And I was like, man, I want my kid to look at me the way that I looked at my dad. I want to be an absolute superhero. And I know that I'm not going to do that in the position that I'm in right now. So if I have the ability to change anything, damn it, I'm going to make sure that I do it. And of course, like, it leads into something like this. And for everybody that's watching, there are even under 0.5% of the people on this earth are born with that kind of drive. Like me and Matt sitting on this couch, who have built businesses and have created some sort of success around here, and want to continue to do so. We weren't born like that. Like, I have been in the depths of struggle within life before, and I'm sure a lot of people out there before, but there's always that conscious decision that you can make that allows elevation within your life. So if you are in a position that you just like, you feel lost or stuck or don't know where to go, that's cool, man, because everybody else is too. Like, most millionaires, most fitness influencers, most everybody, they started having no idea what they're doing. And then it just takes that first step and that first just slight bit of confidence that you have the ability to change your life.
You don't have to have it all figured out.
I still don't.
I could look you right now and say, dude, there's some days where I question about just about anything and everything that I do. Okay? But realistically, I just like, as a man, I just find enjoyment out of building things. And really, like, again, I think men thrive under competition. I think men need a little aspect of that in their life. Men thrive when they're building, when they're working towards something, when there's, not saying there's light at the end of the tunnel, but they're actively in pursuit of something potentially bigger than themselves. And to me, that's me pouring into my own cup. Okay. I just feel like a lot of men feel like, again, they have to have it all figured out to start, but realistically, you just have to rip the Band-Aid off and just start. Take some calculated risk. If you mess up, good, because guess what? You're gonna keep messing up. But what the difference is does that mess up stop you in your tracks, or you just say, okay, well, that didn't work, let's try something else? Like, do you adjust and pivot and keep trying? Because like, I've made every single freaking mistake you can make in online coaching. Like, I didn't hire anyone because I was stubborn. I was like, I'm doing this myself. Ego, like, no, I don't want to be, that guy sounds like a scam. Like, I went alone at it for quite some time. 3 years working like in financial services and online coaching, like dual job, dual income. Couldn't get over the hump to go online coaching full time because I was stubborn. Okay. Didn't want to make investment in any other person to help me who was more successful, more knowledgeable. But I was relentless at it, and I just kept doing it until finally I was able to get over the hump, been able to fortunately quit my 9 to 5 and build out a team where I get to now kind of like employ other people doing it. And like, again, I still feel like I don't have it all figured out. So if that's what's holding you back, like thinking that you need to have this entire game plan oriented and locked down, I can be the first to tell you that you're thinking about it entirely wrong. You need to just start realistically and make adjustments on the fly and learn as you go.
Yeah, the fear of failure, the fear of rejection is probably the single most it's the biggest thing that holds people back from becoming people that they truly need to be, or that they were intended to be.
But yet in the same breath, the difference between the people who are successful versus unsuccessful, the people, they understand that failure is a part of the game and they stay at it longer.
Took the words right out of my mouth, man, because I'm having people that I coach that like they lose their job, they're kind of like lost within their path, and I want everybody to understand the self-made millionaires, the best entrepreneurs, people that have really truly, like if you look from the outside looking in, have built the most success. They have failed 20 times more than anybody else, but there's one common denominator: they've given themselves access to fail more than everybody else. And if you try more often, just statistically, you have more likelihood to fail, but that has not derailed the process. That's all learning opportunities throughout the course of time. And if you can just understand that and take every single opportunity to learn and to grow because of that, you'll start to fail a little bit less. I'm not saying you're not going to still fail, because we all still do it. But if you're able to take those with like a grain of salt and just put the lessons learned into action, then you're able to build something into being that 1%.
Put it this way. If you're watching this right now, if me and Chase could numerically forecast how many no's or failures it would take for you to be where you want to be, let's just say you are 100 failures away from being a multi-six-figure coach, own business, working remote, you would be itching to be like, when's my next failure? Let's go get a failure tomorrow.
I like that.
You want to go get a failure after we're done with this podcast? Because like I'm down to go get 99, 98. Like let's go get all 100 as quickly as possible. So when you start to reframe like your mindset into that, you guys are X amount of failures away from where you're at now to exactly where you want to be. Look for failure, because that's how you learn.
And be comfortable with the unknown, because that's a big kind of place of friction that people don't even seem to get under. They're afraid to fail, but also they don't even try because the end result is unknown. They don't know what they're doing, like hitting the record button or starting a fitness journey or XYZ. They don't know what that end kind of path is. They don't know what the destination looks like yet. So the unknown keeps people from even starting. But that's the beauty of life, man. Like you don't want to sit on the couch all the time. You don't want to be somebody who you look back and say, man, I wish I would have just tried a little bit more. You want to be able to run into pure darkness with so much force and so much power and so much speed that life is just this something that you can look back on and say, man, I'm so damn glad that I actually lived it.
Yeah, I mean, to be like, that's again, we're getting, philosophical here, but that's a life worth living. Like if I knew every single outcome of my life, I'd be like, that's not all that fun. Like the unknown, rather than deterring you, should attract you. It's like, I don't know what this could become. This could become, like, realistically, when you started online coaching, did you ever think that you'd be sitting in your in-home podcast studio with your at-home gym filming on a random Wednesday? Like, probably not.
Dude, when I started coaching, I literally did it as a side hustle just to pay off my wife's car. Yeah. I was just like, over the next 3 years, I'd love to make 20 grand to like pay this car off. And then, my gosh, if the fire didn't just absolutely ignite and start blazing, man, like this, I knew very instantly, like after the first couple of client successes, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And dude, I haven't looked back since. So
Exhibit A, Exhibit A, literally.
Exhibit A. And now, like, of course, making sure that you guys are still engaged. Moving back to, I want to ask you one question before we get out of here. Yeah. So got it right here. What are some unexpected benefits that people might get whenever they start to take their health or fitness seriously? Because a lot of people will move into this knowing that they want to create a physical transformation, but what are some unexpected things that they realize along the way?
Oof, that is a loaded question. Realistically, it comes down to, I think, self-worth and self-respect. You, through fitness, okay, and through the discipline that you create, following protocols, following a plan, okay, you learn to be able to have much higher self-respect, and you learn the most powerful word in your fitness journey, which is the ability to say no. The ability to say no from things that, you know, don't pour into your cup, that detract value from your life. You're able to start separating yourself from the people that, you know, maybe they'll never understand why you're doing it. Maybe they're the type of people that when you go out and you have, you know, a free meal and burger and fries, they're going to be the people that say, oh, Chase, like, didn't realize a burger was on plan. Yet those are the same people that when you say no to going out, they're like, you can't have a burger and fries, dude. Exactly. It's like, it's a lose-lose, okay? You learn to, truthfully, I think you learn to center yourself around more like-minded people. When you really get into fitness, you learn the ability to say no to things that, you know, put you in a position to not feel at your best. And that in turn, you know, with the physical transformation of your body and then the mental self-respect, that is what in turn is like an unexpected feeling that you get that taste of your most optimal self, and you really run with it. That in turn keeps you more consistent in your fitness journey than anything else.
Yep, took the words right out of my mouth, man. The self-respect, the self-empowerment, the motivation that you get out of this is obviously it's a great subcomponent to just wanting to get in shape. And you learn how to ultimately go through life only seeking things that are going to serve you. Like taking out all of the bullshit that you know is not going to bring you anywhere. I mean, even that's relationships that might need to be extinguished, whether that's habits that might need to be taken away. Like you're going to rise to the occasion because life has so many levels. And I wish people really understood that, because you might just be stuck at one level. You're not able to just take on that final boss yet. But once you start into a venture like this and you're able to treat yourself with the same amount of respect, you get respect back and you start to level up and you start to elevate and your life starts to evolve. That's what people literally just are taken back by. I've seen people's lives change because of this. I've seen people change professions. I've seen people get out of just shitty relationships because now they are like this new empowered version of themselves. And that's why fitness means so much to us, because we've literally witnessed that multiple times with our own eyeballs. And dude, that it's such a cool thing.
And we've felt it ourselves. Like you've not only seen it happen with your clients, but you've also walked the walk, which to me is a double-edged sword. So that's what I would say on that.
I love it, man. Well, episode 4 was an absolute banger. Matt Wade, dude, I appreciate you being here so much. This was fun because we already talked before we even started this podcast that we're kind of yappers and we talk and we don't know where this tangent's going to go. It started with how can fitness change your life? We started about the physical, the mental, the philosophical at some point, and I think that there was a lot of value packed within this episode. So we hope that y'all got something out of this. And Matt, I hope that this is not the last time that you grace us with your presence.
No, I will definitely be back. I hope for everyone watching it. Realistically, I think there was definitely a few really key segments that just, again, it's not always about what you hear, it's kind of how you hear it. And I think there was a lot of segments that we talked about that can really resonate for a lot of our viewers, both lifestyle and prep, just to add that extra, you know, perspective that, you know, they might watch this and be like, I need to hear that today. So that was one of the episodes right here.
Yeah, if we help one person out of this, we've done our job.
Cool. Well, thank you for having me, dude.
I appreciate you, man.